Alright guys, so here's the deal. Have you ever experienced shaking while you're braking? So today we're going to be diagnosing some rotor situations and seeing why this Ford Explorer, which is my wife's car, is freaking shaking her so horrendously. So literally guys, every time she stops, it doesn't matter what type of, it doesn't matter if it's 10, 20, 30. To me, she was like, it's a little, a little shake when you stop, and then I got in it. And I was like, holy hell, this thing's like, I felt like the wheel's going to fall off. But to make matters worse, guys, I replaced the brakes on this bad boy about a month ago. And so, it's a warranty call on my own freaking job. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had a tire replaced, and the shop we took it to wasn't a professional shop. But anyway, they, without torquing it, they just zipped on these lug nuts with a gun, and I'm not sure if they stripped this out and then broke it, or if they just did it too tight and broke it. But either way, they broke a lug nut. So we got to replace that as well. So here's the deal, and I'll be honest with you, you can warp your rotor super easily. Just think about it, guys. When you're driving, your rotor is warming up, okay? Because all that friction, obviously the rotation of it, and the surface up against the brake pads themselves. But let's say you're driving for like a couple hours, and some people don't even realize it. They'll be in town driving a couple hours and not even realize it. Okay, so let's say you're just driving and you have to slam on your brakes. All of a sudden, you're pushing that caliper and those pistons in real freaking hard. And if that rotor's heated up enough, guys, that's metal. So if it's heated up enough, it's a type of metal. I'm sorry, people are going to try to correct me on that, but anyways, if that gets heated up enough, you're going to warp it by pressing those brake pads real tightly in like that. You're going to like cause a little indentation in the freaking rotor itself, because that piston, guys, that freaking brake caliper ain't no joke, dude. That can do some damage. But if you're paying attention in the beginning of the video, I said it's most likely a rotor. So I'm going to take the rotors off and I'm going to show you how we can check them. But regardless, we're going to replace them. They give me this old freaking looking one with a brand new chrome looking socket. So stupid. Anyways, let's get at it. Alright, so with our wheel out of the way, look at that thing, dude. Boy, that sucker is broken. But it does have the infamous set screw. So hopefully this is, hopefully that comes out easily. Here we are going to cross our fingers. Oh God. Yes! Okay. Well, I was getting a little nervous. Alright, with my beautiful Samota. Oh, I got a dead damn battery, darn it. Alright, and because I replaced brakes on this not too long ago, these are going to be nice and already greased up, but I'm going to re-grease them anyway. This is really important when it comes to brakes. Okay, so thankfully for us, and for a lot of other vehicles as well, there's actually a way to get this off without having to remove the entire hub. So we're just going to turn this. Alright, see that? See this little indentation here? So we'll be able to pop this bad boy out and then put the new one right on in. Alright guys, so how I'm going to get that stud out is pretty simple. Air hammer, baby. So seriously, dude, I freaking love this thing. Alright, so looks like I'm missing a couple tips. They must have fell out in the trailer. This one should do just fine. Let's get this bad boy set up. Okay, let's see what you got. Just like that. Complements a snap-on. See how it's flat on one end? That's so it can just lay flush against that keyway. Oh, let me turn it some. Just like that. Now I just have to take a couple nuts, drive them in, and tighten her up. Alright, so like I said, just using a nut, you're going to drive it all the way down. Alright, so actually, let's say you don't have a nut that fits that. You can take a nut that's bigger, or something that can fit over that, and then you can just use your lug nut. Alright, now look at that. Flush. Alright, so you know what's funny? I began the video with saying that my wife was the cause of the brakes. Well, I actually replaced these brakes like a month ago, and everything was fine up until like a week ago. She started noticing some shaking, and so when I drove it, I was like, holy shit. Well, when I removed the brakes, take a look at this. You see that? So almost all of the pad got used here. And so what the problem was, there's actually 2 different sizes. And I truly, guys, I didn't know that. It's my job to know it, but I did not know that about this car. This is it's a pretty new car. I didn't know that they had different sizes for that particular rotor. Now here's the situation. This is how the brake was sitting, okay? Just like that. And it looked just fine, but then obviously it's not. So it needs to be completely flush like this. And so the new rotors that I have purchased is actually the same exact size. So I'm about to run up to O'Reilly, and man, I'm praying that I don't have to order these freaking rotors, because I'm not going to hear the end of it. This is my wife's car, so this is supposed to be like a 20-minute job, guys. Anyway, and I know what you're thinking. Didn't you notice when you put them on? Absolutely not, I didn't notice. When I put everything up, it looked just fine. So, I mean, and these were, guys, I didn't change the rotors, I only changed the freaking brakes on this thing. Okay, so we're back with our new brakes and our new rotors. Now here's the deal, guys. All right, so talking to a couple of these O'Reilly workers, here's the scenario. This Ford Explorer, this is a 2019. Apparently the 2016s and I think 2013s to 2016s can take the same rotor and the same brake pad, but it's just a little bit smaller. But it will fit in that caliber and in that bracket and on that housing. So my only theory is they put a younger model's rotor and freaking brake on here, and then when I did the brakes, I put, you know, the average, the suspected one, the one that's supposed to be replaced with it, and you know, it was too big. That's the only thing I can think of. But nonetheless, like I said, we got the originals, or we got the regulars. So this is what's supposed to be on it. All right. So for the new one, line up those. All right, so here's the deal. If it offers new hardware, always replace the hardware. It takes 2 seconds, and it looks obviously a lot cleaner. Take our fancy brakes here. I went ahead and bought the expensive ones. You know what I mean? Check that, looking nice and shiny, all good and cleaned up. Here's the deal. I'm not even going to exaggerate whatsoever. I had to go return those rotors and buy brakes. I wasn't planning on buying brakes, but I went and returned those rotors, and because O'Reilly was having this deal, I returned the rotors, and then I was able to get brakes that were $60, but I only paid $7 for them because of the deal that they had going on. I literally thought I was going to pay $60, like $65 or whatever, for the brakes, but because I was getting the brakes and the rotors, it was a deal. Shout out O'Reilly.